Hey guys, welcome back to a brand new video, and I've just realized it's a bit dark. So like, let's fix that a little bit. Oh no, it'll be fine once we pick up the camera. But yeah, anyways, hey guys, welcome back to a brand new video. Today we have a beautiful comparison between the Gaboon, the Fellowship Blades Gaboon, and the Machine-Wise SlifT O, right? Which I'm gonna substitute this for the SlifT line in general. Just this is fit more to my preferences, right? So, I guess we start off like an old school comparison of mine, where we just compare materials and dimensions. In materials, there is one difference, right? Because they use the same hardware. All right, ignore this SlifT. This is an older hardware SlifT, but like modern SlifTs, they use the same hardware, same bushings, same washers, all of it, right? So, on the Machine-Wise SlifT, right, you could say reigning champion. It's the older Balisong, right? And I would say probably one of the best value Balisongs around its price range. You have a nice boxy style channel, grade 5 titanium, with a S35 VN. I believe I said that right? S35 VN. Yeah, I think that's the blade steel. Yeah, it literally says it there. There you go. S35 VN blade steel, with beautiful milling lines. Which, let's see if the camera will pick them up. Yeah, there you go. You can kind of see them there. Yeah, beautiful milling lines, obviously. Laser etched Machine-Wise logo. On hardened stainless steel hardware, so bushings, washers, and screws, with adjustable end weight pivots, right? Whereas, by the way, these are both dull, by the way, YouTube, so, please don't kill me. Yeah, this is literally unsharpened. Versus the Fellowship Blades Gaboon, which also uses grade 5 titanium in its construction. However, this is, of course, flat, whereas this is milled. And this is also sandwich construction, but with a integrated weight system, like very, very modular weight system. It does require the disassembly of the Balisong, but it's like, eh. So yeah, I'm going to exclude hardware from this comparison because this is on the newer T15 stuff, which all Gaboons will come on, except for the very first batch. And this should be on the T15 stuff as well. I mean, it does fit. You could literally swap it in, right? So even if you don't have the T15 stuff, you can just buy it off of Machine-Wise or Fellowship Blades website. However, the big difference here is in the blade here. Obviously, you still also get beautiful milling lines, but this blade here is the first Balisong ever to be made with Magna Cut, which makes me really not sad, but I feel like I'm doing a wrongdoing by having this as the unsharpened version, which I say that this thing still will open boxes and stuff, so it does what I need it to do. But if you didn't know, Magna Cut is essentially a not brand new, but very, very recent innovation in steel, and is actually essentially the best, almost perfect blade steel when it comes to the balance between edge retention, corrosion resistance, hardness, and all those kinds of things. And you essentially get just a perfect EDC Balisong or EDC knife, right? Most new enthusiast grade knives, and not just Balisongs, but also like pocket knives and things like that, are starting to catch on to Magna Cut steel, sorry, which is honestly quite cool, especially to have the first real Balisong in the community with this kind of blade steel, and I think it looks fantastic. It sounds great, and there are other things I really like about it. When it comes to weight, this guy, I believe, weighs circa 100 grams, depending on how many weights you put in, and this guy weighs about 111. Actually, I think this does weigh 111 dead, but I think that's with the trainer blade. I think. I'm not sure with this blade is probably like 3 grams heavier or something, right? So 114. Thereabouts, right? So convert that to American units, if you would so like. But yeah, getting onto the looks, I mean, looks is all really subjective, right? I think the handles look better on this, but the blade, I think, the blade's a really tough call, to be honest. I don't think this blade suits these handles, but the stock SlifT blade does suit the SlifT handles. I wish the Gaboon blade was longer. Like, if the Gaboon blade was the same length, proportionally, as this, it might be, like, one of the most pretty Balisongs. But it already is one of the most pretty Balisongs, because look at that, man. Like, it's just stunning. The craftsmanship that's gone into it, obviously it's all done by machine, right? I guess the design work, I guess, as you say, not necessarily the craftsmanship, because you don't get this through grinds. But yeah, the handles, obviously they are just like flat slabs, which keeps the pricing down, because Magna Cut, I believe, is a bit more expensive. and a bit more difficult to work with than S35VN. But, I mean, overall, I wouldn't say that's a downside. And of course, you can always get the Invar scales, which I believe are the same price as the regular Gaboon, right? The Invar Gaboon, which is basically, imagine take these handles and you just made them inside out. That's the difference. And it's slightly more handle bias in stock configuration, right? So effectively, I actually think the Invar Gaboon would probably be the perfect balanced Balisong for myself if I had it set up in the way it currently is. Just because of that slight more handle bias. Although I've very much gotten used to this, and so I wouldn't say that it's a huge deal. I think just when I unboxed it, I was looking for how to get the perfect balance. This is probably as close as I'll get on this Balisong. It is like 95% of the way there, really. So when it does come to balances, I'm sure you're all curious, you know, how do they flip? Now here's where the kind of whole conversation breaks down. Also, yeah, let me also just give you a quick size comparison, right? The Gaboon is a good, you know, most of a pivot shorter, and even in the open position, you know, you can see the handles are both shorter, and of course the blade is also shorter, and it's also thinner. Not sure how well this will come across on camera. Let's see if we can line these up nicely with one hand. But like, oh, you know what, actually? It's actually not significantly thinner. I thought this feels thinner in the hand. It feels less substantial. I guess the taper here is a bit more significant. And it's obviously not as wide, like, I guess it's sort of, is it? I mean, it's not a crazy difference, but you do notice it. This being sandwich and all. Right, obviously there's nothing here, so it's just all grip, which, you know, that's sandwich versus channel debate there already. And I guess that's essentially what it comes down to. One, how much do you care about balance? If you're not too fussed about balance, I would say get the SlifT. Unless you want an EDC Bally, in which case I would say this is the best EDC Bally out there at the moment. Perhaps the Medusa is a slightly better offering at the moment. But overall, I would say this is, right? It's lightweight. It's cheaper than the Medusa. You've got adjustable balance for, you know, true Bally flippers. It's sandwich, and you can basically buy all the parts, so easily replaceable. You can't just buy a handle of the Medusa, right? You can literally just buy slabs, the Invar slabs, and I think you can even just buy the flat slabs. So you can actually basically part out this entire Bally, except the blade, right? I think you can buy the trainer, so you could make a Gaboon trainer if you wanted to from just parts alone. It's probably more expensive than an actual Gaboon trainer, but I think you can just buy the hognose blade, and then the set of hardware, right? You need 4 pivots, 4 screws, 4 washers, which I like that it comes with stainless washers as well. I did swap them in myself, and I did end up giving the bite handle like a slightly better tune, just because usually you need a better tune with stainless pivots than you do phosphorus bronze ones, sorry. And then obviously I guess you won't get necessarily the little screws in there, but boo-hoo, I also have an extra set of bushings here at the bottom instead for the balance. So stock, this thing comes with like these nice spacers. They are really pretty, and you can get this thing in loads of different colors. This is still being made. This is no longer being made. So it's like a win and a lose, man. So I would say the SlifT is for people who really like the longer Balisong format, which I do really like the longer Balisong format, but also, you know, aren't opposed to something a bit more unique feeling. Whereas the people who want a serious everyday Balisong, like for cutting things around and carrying them, obviously I would say probably the Gaboon is a better option. Now, I can't tell you as to blade geometry, which is going to be better, because this guy, albeit, is not sharp. The edge geometry on this lets it cut very, very easily. Yeah, it's not going to cut yourself like super easily, but in terms of like boxes, papers, especially this Tanto area, I mean, that's the only bit that's ever nicked me. And like it does this, you just glide it along, and it's open, right? Whatever it is that you're cutting. And so I would say I couldn't give a comparison there, but it's like $1 sharpening for this, right? You can get it razor sharp, right? If you really want shaving sharp, like for some reason, you know, if you're a maniac. But I guess if there was a Balisong to get razor sharp, I guess it would be this, because if you need it as a knife to be just razor sharp, why not have the better blade steel? Now, I wouldn't say that it's a huge step up in blade steel. In certain areas, it is significant. But I would say overall, it's just like a nice upgrade. But I think for the fact that I think this is actually cheaper than this. just because of that, I would say that it's worth it. It's a bit smaller. It's a bit more unique. No, it's less unique in terms of how it flips. It's a very consistent flipper, very predictable. It's sandwich, so I would say it doesn't sound as nice. However, okay, the screw's coming loose on this. I would actually say I prefer the sound of this. It sounds a little more hollow, and obviously the tolerances are still pretty bloody good. So, you couldn't build the Zen pins as well. I just realised. Yeah, so the tolerances on this guy are pretty great. As well as the whole adjustable weight thing, you can really tailor this to be your perfect flipper, right? If you want more weight here or here, you just want the handles to be really heavy, because you're a rollover master and you want this to weigh more so like a normal Balisong, you know, shove the weights in. The weights, albeit they weigh like nothing, right? I think they're like 1 or 2 grams each. Yeah, they are insane how much of a difference they make. The one thing I wish is that you didn't have to do, you know, one weight each side, which I understand is for balance, or at least I wish the weights were light. Like, I wish there was a lighter set of weights that would be the weight of one of these, so half the weight. I say one of these like as if I'm showing you, right? So I have a weight in this hole here, right? You can see it there, sort of. Perhaps that's a better angle to show. Not really. It's kind of difficult to see on camera, especially because they are black. But yeah, the way I'm running it is bushings in the end, and then one weight in, not the last hole, which is like there, but I'm running a weight there because I found here was a bit too much handle momentum, and here was like a better spot, at least for how I wanted it. But that's the one beauty of this thing. You can always change this up. You get so many screws. I think you get enough to fill all of them. Right, and of course you don't get this extra bushings option, but I think it's like $4 for a set of bushings, and you can literally, like, you get extra pins here. You can literally just take out one pin from the spacer. You need at least one pin to have the spacer in there, unless you like really want to just crank it down like how it is. But no, honestly, this thing super modular in terms of weight and feel. So I think for more advanced flippers, I would probably say get the Gaboon if you're willing to have something that's lightweight. This thing is really light. In comparison to like a traditional Balisong, especially something like this, which is longer, so it carries its momentum a bit funkier, despite not being any heavier than the Arm Shark Tsunami, and being lighter than this guy, but it feels much heavier. And so that's where I would say this is like a weird middle ground somewhere. No, sorry, this is more normal, but it just carries its weight a lot more. And I would say this is a bit of a weird middle ground, because you have something that's lighter, flips heavier than it is, but is also like really relaxed on the fingers. And I'd say that's the biggest thing for me, which is why I picked this up more so than this, despite the fact that this isn't mine other than the blade. I picked this up loads more just because it's really easy. It's not super loud. It's a nice little feeling. I know it's durable, right? It holds a good tune as long as you keep it oiled. It's a nice ice pick test. Really satisfying to do. I'm tempted to make this a color, but I also really like the like monochrome, like gray out, I guess, because even my washers now are gray. So that's the one downside. It's a little bit pokey. It actually did that to me just from the tip. So it's like, yeah, the tip is like the one bit that's like not been properly dulled, which I understand why, because it means if I ever want to, you know, put an edge on it, I'm going to spend years doing it on my whetstone, because I don't have a rough enough grit to properly do edge formation, but I can get a nice pointy tip if I really did want to, which is nice compared to other false edges. This is literally just unsharpened, right, straight off the mill. But yeah, basically overall, which would I recommend you get? The SlifT by Machine Wise or the Fellowship Blades Gaboon? Personally, for my style, I prefer the Fellowship Gaboon, and so I'm going to have to go with that wholeheartedly. I say it wins, not by a landslide, just by a small margin from using it every day. I think it's a slightly better daily Balisong. It's a little bit easier on the hands. It's something that, like, you know, if you're a bit tired of the heavier Balisongs, it's something you can just have lightly and flip around all the time. I play drums, and my right wrist is kind of busted a little bit. So, yeah, I would basically just go for this, just because it's a little easier on my hands in the way that I like to flip just on the side. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. If you gained something from this, leave a like, leave a comment, leave a subscribe. Tell me how your week was. Which would you pick between these two Balisongs? These two absolute titans of the Balisong industry, in my opinion. And yeah, I'll catch you guys in the next one. consider becoming a channel member as well, or a patron. Yeah, cheers.